Let's react to this Mad Season video. We like Mad Season. He was in Crusade. Him and I ranked together in Classic WoW. In the old days, he was a guest on Classic Cast. Mad Season is a great friend. We go way back. So let's watch Mad Season's newest video. And you guys should all sub to him if you haven't already.
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here, back with another video for you. Alright, so Classic Plus, it's not confirmed yet, but in my opinion, it's a 99% chance of releasing. We recently went over the why and all of the hints that Blizzard has been dropping over the past several months. I'll have a link to that video in the description if you are curious. But what I wanted to focus on today is realistically, what would it look like considering Blizzard's development practices and history, and also going over things such as the Classic Plus-esque survey questions that they've shared in the past, and also the fact that Blizzard has said that the entire season of Discovery was a big experiment. Two very big pieces of information that we're going to be going over in this video, starting first with the season of Discovery. In both the announcement itself and throughout the development, they had made mention several times that this temporary game mode was experimental in nature.
If you guys were watching my stream live at BlizzCon, you guys know I do a big thing for BlizzCon. I'm IRL streaming. I'm there like in person for the talks, for the panels. I have like the feed on the screen. Like we do a big thing for BlizzCon. It's very cool, right? We're gonna be doing more big things this year for BlizzCon. I have a big event that I'm in the process of planning. I want to announce it very soon, but I'm waiting for some key things to get squared away to do the official announcement. So if you guys are going to BlizzCon, keep an eye out for the day before BlizzCon, Friday night. So BlizzCon's gonna be Saturday, Sunday. There's gonna be something Friday night. Just keep an eye out. If you guys remember, whenever the season of Discovery announcement was made, during the announcement, I was very just like, I mean, they were announcing like rogues being able to tank, mages being able to heal. And I was like kind of looking around the room and the people were cheering and I'm like, what are we doing here? I got to play it at BlizzCon, which is great. I was super thankful to be able to get a firsthand experience of it. I was like, you know what? That was kind of weird, but it's not as bad as I first thought. There are some things about this that were fun. I talked to Agrand about it extensively, and every time I get to talk to somebody like Agrand, I've gotten a chance to talk to WoW devs a lot over the years, current devs, former devs, whether it's the guys that like originally worked on the game, Jeff Kaplan, Kevin Jordan, Mark Kern, John Statz, like having a chance to talk to the original guys. I've learned so much from talking to these guys. I've learned so much about not just WoW, but like game design in general and like the way these guys think about things. And they're legitimately like, these guys are like geniuses. Like I have so much respect for not just them, but the amount of time that they spent talking to me about these kinds of things. And even now, like, we'll still talk and I'll message them off stream and it's cool. The current people that are there, I've also gotten a chance to talk to a lot of these guys. It's very interesting because sometimes I will talk about something with WoW and I'll be like, what the hell are we doing here? What is going on? And then I'll talk to some of these guys and I'm like, okay, we're on the same page. So what's going on here? We're actually on the same page. So what the hell is the deal? A big part of it is when a team gets so big, there's so many different like checks and balances and things that happen, and it takes so long. And like, just because I might agree with like, let's say like I'll have a conversation with a guy and like we agree on a concept, but like it's obviously like that's not what's happening. It's like, what the hell's going on here? I might talk to all these people and like I agree with one person here and like we agree on this and I agree with that guy on this and I agree with that guy on this. But then it's like, does that work all the way through? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Half the time I'm talking to these guys and it's like, they can't always like tell you exactly what's going on, right? Because their own stuff. And I'll be like, what about this? Or what's going on here? Or what do you think about this? And sometimes they're just like, I won't say who in particular does this because I think it's very funny, but there's one guy in particular, like sometimes I'm talking to him and he just looks at me and he's like, and I'm like, I'm preaching to the choir, aren't I? Like, I know I'm preaching to the choir when I talk to this one dev in particular. I'm like, back to the original sort of point of what I'm saying here. SOD was announced and I was like, this is weird. I played it. I was like, wait, this isn't so bad. But I was worried. I was worried about a number of things. And one of the key things that I mentioned back then, I don't know if this was in a YouTube video or on a live stream or whatever, and this is something I told Blizzard right then and there. I said, I'm so worried that this thing just snowballs out of control and you're gonna get so much bloat. It essentially is gonna kind of turn into retail. I would call SOD like retail minus in a lot of ways because there's so many systems and weird things that are introduced to the game that they did kind of use SOD as a testing ground for Classic Plus beta. And I said this years ago, and I was like, I think during the announcement, I was like, this is 100%, this is Classic Plus beta, 1000%. I still think that. And I still think that things they did in SOD, not everything was bad, don't get me wrong, but I do think that the way that they approached a lot of the problems or the things they wanted to have a solution for, I think it was kind of the tale as old as time sort of issue with Blizzard, and it's a Band-Aid fix. Everything kind of has a Band-Aid fix. They don't try and fix a problem from the root. They go and they're like, oh, well, people don't like this, and this seems to be an issue. So let's kind of like slap a new system on top of this or slap a new system on top of that and kind of just deal with it. And it kind of works in the interim. It works in the short period of time, but it causes other problems down the road, and it eventually will change the game entirely into what retail is. And by the way, retail is fine. I think there's a lot of people that like retail for what it is. I'm coming from a very specific audience of person. Put it on a vendor syndrome. I love that term. I love that you called it that, because that's a lot of like how I feel. I'm a very specific generation of WoW player that Blizzard has lost. Do I still play WoW? Yes, I love Burning Crusade. I love vanilla. I'm doing what I think is my last run of Burning Crusade right now. There's certain things that would make me want to play classic vanilla again. A couple things, if they changed, I would be like, you know what, let's run it back. And then the other is a Classic Plus done the right way. I feel like if Classic Plus comes out, I will play it no matter what. It's a new launch. It's hype. It's something we've been asking for years. It's something that I've been like begging for years. It is how my streaming career started, kind of being the guy pushing for Classic WoW in the first place and it leading into Classic Plus. There's no way that I'm gonna not do that. But for how long? It all depends on the meat of the game, the gameplay loop and the systems and stuff that keep you in the game. The nostalgia is the hook. The spectacle is the hook. These are all things that it's a layup. Anything that Blizzard does next for WoW is going to be Classic Plus, if that makes sense. I think whatever Blizzard comes out with next is going to be seen as this brand new reimagining of Classic WoW, whether it's Classic Plus or everything but the next retail expansion. They're going to see it as that, and it's going to have this hype. If Season of Discovery were to come out now, it's Classic Plus because of what this community has done to itself. The community has hyped this thing up. Blizzard needs to understand that whatever they're doing here, the stakes are high, bro. If they come out with a Classic Plus and it is not up to par, if it doesn't hit, they're in very bad shape. I don't think they can afford to have something with this much hype end up being like Season of Discovery was as far as the results. Discovery was very popular at the beginning. Everybody tried it, and it's going to have that. But this taper off that every MMO will have, every MMO in the current year will have this big hype period, and then it's going to taper off. It's just the nature of it. And then slowly, hopefully, if it's good, we'll slowly build back up. That's what you want. That's what you're looking for. The hope is that it's good enough to keep people in, that it tapers off as little as possible. That's what you're hoping for. Sometimes I do worry that Blizzard has this audience. This is the audience Blizzard has, and this is the audience Blizzard wants. Instead of catering to what's already there, they're trying to grab something that's not there, and it's a problem. What I think Blizzard needs to do, Blizzard needs to go after me, my audience, where I came from. I'm the 2004, the original vanilla WoW player. I'm the Burning Crusade player. I played the OG versions of the game, right? I played them a lot. I was a kid. I came back to private servers to like finish it. Be like, man, I'll run it back. No, actually, you know what? I came back to private servers to kind of just do something. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll do this again. We'll see how it is. Like I'll level on a Blizz-like server with progressive itemization and all this stuff. This is like the Elysium server that was based off the Nostalrius core, and it led the push for legacy servers. That was like the crux of it, was what they did with Nostalrius, which by the way, Blizzard still never did. And they never did the best version of a vanilla WoW that they could, which would have been that, like a true Blizz-like vanilla WoW. They were less Blizz-like than the private servers, Nostalrius, Elysium, Light's Hope that came before that led this whole charge. I do think those were better than what Blizzard came out with in 2019, unfortunately. On the flip side, I think Burning Crusade Classic that I played in like 2020, 2021 was more fun than the Burning Crusade that I played originally. Like that was the most fun I ever had. Gameplay wise. Every time I do this, man, it kind of turns into a whole discussion. We're like 2 minutes into this video. Season Discovery was not Classic Plus. It was Classic Plus Beta. It was a testing grounds for different things that they could try. And I think that the way that they approached a lot of problems was Band-Aid fixes. Band-Aid fixes do not work to fix things. And why do people want vanilla so bad? People want vanilla. People want classic, right? Now, people want a little bit more. They want a little bit of sprinkles. They want a little bit of plus, right? Maybe they want a little bit of fruit in their frozen yogurt. The core of what they want is that classic WoW plus. I think when you do too many things to fix problems, to come up with solutions for things that people want anyway, you end up having this issue of now you are over optimizing the game. You're over homogenizing the classes. There's not distinct class design. Every single class in vanilla WoW is different. In Burning Crusade, it starts to overlap a little bit. Muddies the waters. So you have distinct class design, tank identity, healer identity, DPS identity in vanilla. Things kind of start to do this a little bit in Burning Crusade. In Wrath is like kind of, it's pretty muddy, right? I would say it overlaps kind of hard. And then by the time you get to Cataclysm, it's completely out the window. That is now a different type of game. And Blizzard needs to understand this and they need to learn this. The class design of whatever happens next is pivotal to the success of a Classic Plus. The class design has to be good. You need to have that class flavor. You need to have that tank identity. You need to have the healer identity. You need to have the DPS identity. When I play a paladin, I play a paladin. When I play a rogue, I am a rogue. A warrior is a warrior. They're all different. It's insanely important. And if you optimize everything out of it, a shaman is a shaman, especially for the hybrids, by the way. Hybrid design is so important. People are like, oh, well, they think paladin is boring. You know what? Maybe paladin isn't for you. You think shaman is boring? Maybe shaman isn't for you. Play a different class. Shaman doesn't need to be just like a rogue or a warrior. Paladin doesn't need to be just like a rogue or a warrior. Druid doesn't need to be just like a rogue or a warrior. What happened in retail? They were like, oh, we can't figure out a way to balance cat and bear, so we're just gonna split them into two separate specs. We're gonna have like feral, I think still is the name of the DPS cat spec, and then Guardian is bear. And there's, dude, oh, damn. This is turning into like a whole separate discussion, separate video, but let's kind of reel it back in. I want to look at what Mad Season did and let's talk more about what Mad Season's talking about here. The rune system, I think the rune system was a fun idea at first. Some ideas are good ideas for a certain period of time. I don't want to dump on the rune system this much because I think a lot of people think runes are stupid and sod. I'm going to be fair and say that I think the rune system for phase 1 and how they wanted to do it was actually incredibly fun. It was super good. I remember doing that Divine Storm quest and it felt like everybody in the world was trying to find out how to get Divine Storm at level 25. It was really cool at the beginning. The problem here is it's not a good system for the long term. It's not something that like the gameplay loop over time can be maintained.
Warriors are the best tanks, and you have other various classes and specs being great at some things and bad at other things. I think that weaknesses are often mischaracterized as flaws, but they're just as valuable as strengths in the identity of classes and specializations. And if you treat weaknesses as flaws to be fixed, eventually everything just kind of melds into one another and the classes no longer have these interesting identities that separate them from each other. Because eventually everybody's mobile, everybody's good at AoE, single target tanking.
Yeah, I think this is a big, dude, oh my, I love Mad Season, man. I think this is a big problem.
The balance becomes better, but it also becomes...
Balance is boring.
But of course the other extreme isn't the best either.
No, it's not. Okay, some of SOD was good. My big problem with SOD was like the systems. Them trying to have everybody do everything. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel classic. I think what they need to do with Classic Plus, they need to take existing play styles of how you play your class in the game, different specs, different builds, and they need to expand on, they need to enable those, continue to enable those, and expand on those play styles. And maybe even expand on the ones that are like a little bit weak, right? What I mean by this is something like, hey, if I'm a shaman and I want to tank a 5-man dungeon, like shamans should be like just fine 5-man dungeon tanks. If they want to off-tank some certain things in raids, having some things in the enhancement tree that lets them build into like a tank shaman, I think is totally fine. TBC pre-patch is a good place to start, but without the TBC, I think so too. That's something I've been harping on a lot, is start with the TBC pre-patch and then go from there. I think Wrath of the Lich King is a bad idea. Like, I do not want, if I'm a paladin, what do paladins get in Wrath? Divine Storm, Hammer of the Righteous is Wrath, Beacon for Holy. I think starting there with the design being Burning Crusade, I think is fine. But what happens is like the Wrath Paladin is like, it's kind of a warrior. It's just a glorified warrior. Oh, also something else. Prop Paladin in Wrath is insanely broken. Prop Paladin in Burning Crusade is pretty good, but it's not broken. And I think that having the identity of like Prop Paladin is like an AoE tank and your warrior is like the jack of all trades, can do everything pretty good. And the Druid is like your big beefy single target health tank. I think that's good, right? High armor, high health, physical damage. I think that's nice. I like tank identity. I like warriors having a bunch of tools for tanking. Give them the most buttons to press, like cooldowns and stuff like that for different things. Prop Paladins, they should be able to AoE tank with consecration and stuff like that. It's not to the point where they're like de facto the best tank. Whereas in Wrath of the Lich King, Prop Paladins are just like de facto the best tank. Prop Paladin vanilla doesn't exist. It exists, but it's like kind of memey, and you got to go like there's a line there. I tanked a lot of things in vanilla as a Prop Paladin. I think I tanked all of Molten Core. I think I tanked all of BWL because I remember whenever we found out how to tank Firemaw without a taunt. I like all the ideas for PvE. What about PvP though? Bingo. PvP and SOD is a disaster. And me being a PvP guy, I think that it's super important to touch on all these things very delicately because PvP I think can snowball out of control.